On today's episode, I make my final moves in the transfer market to set my team up for success and hopefully to never get thrashed again. Stay tuned. Hey guys, so in this episode I'm just going to walk you really quick through the transfers that I made in the build up to the end of the transfer window. I've now lost a game pretty badly and won a game by a slim margin of a single goal, and so I'm really just looking to bring in a lot of loan players to give me some options to potentially boost the team that I have. Now to do that I'm going to have to do a lot of back and forth. I'm going to show you it all. That's what this specific video is going to be, and then I'll release the next video fairly quickly that will show kind of the aftermath and my next game. So this is going to be transfer negotiations basically. All right, so I start off with Alec Canadian, don't know if I pronounced that right, but I get a great offer for him for a transfer fee of almost $1 million for loan, but I'm going to have to pay $89K from a salary perspective to bring him onto my team. So he is a youth player that's currently on my youth squad that I am going to loan out. So I'm going to sign him and then immediately loan him, and I'm going to get $1 million from loaning him, but I'm going to eat up essentially $90K of my salary budget, which is currently $371,000. So again, my intent is to bring in loan players, so I'm okay with this. So now this gives me $1.1 million from a transfer perspective and $282,000 from a salary perspective. So the next thing is I get a guy who comes up on my radar through the scouting process. So this is the scouting menu, and it's a guy named Sabri, and he looks pretty decent. He's 24-year-old destroyer. He's got 80 jump, 75 physical contact, 74 defensive awareness, 77 ball winning, 72 aggression, and his conditioning's really good at 7. Now he's a little shorter than I'd like. He's 184 centimeters, but he's kind of heavy at 88 kilograms. So I think he's a pretty solid center back at this level. He's only 72 rated, but it looks like he's going up, so maybe I get a point or two this season if I loan him. So because he came up in my scout search, I think I'm going to go for him. He's by far the best player that's come through so far, and so I'm going to loan him because my window is going to close. So I'm going to make an offer to loan him for, I try and loan him for a year, but I can only end up getting him for 6 months because of his contract. And essentially, because he came up on my scout list, I'm going to try and get him for $90K, which is a steal. So I put that offer in, and then I'm going to have to wait. And so while that's happening, I get an offer for Gape, and I initially go for it, but then I run into this issue of if I loan a player or get rid of a player now, I'm going to fall below the required 11 players that are at my club that are non-loan players. And so I'm going to need to take care of that if I want to make any more money by selling or loaning players. So while that's happening, I get the terms back from Sabri, and everything's looking good. So they end up wanting $108K for him versus the 90. I'll take it. That's a steal for a player that can legitimately help me. And so that puts me in a situation where now I only have $1 million and still $282,000 from a salary perspective. So what I'm going to need to do is to get rid of anyone else, I'm going to have to loan someone else out. I get a loan offer that comes in for Bajiri. Pretty sure that's not how you say that either, but it's a killer offer. 1.4 mil, and all I have to do is pay the 70K annual salary. I mean, that's a steal right there. So I loan him, and that essentially then takes me to 2.4 million from a transfer budget perspective and 211,000. So now I'm looking good. I can definitely bring someone in there. And then I also get an offer for Viner, who is also on my youth team, and that offer is 787,000. And again, I have to pay around 70K of salary. So I take that offer, and that now takes me to a transfer budget of 3.2 million and a salary budget of 141,000. So again, looking really, really healthy. What I am going to have to do, however, is I'm just going to have to sign somebody so that I can actually leverage loan offers or transfer offers in my full team. So with time running out, I sign Modric because I think, he's a low salary fee basically. So I sign him for 29K, and that gives me a player on my team that potentially can help in a pinch, but then gives me the opportunity to actually get rid of another player. So my transfer budget stays the same at 3.2 million, but but now I only have 111,000 salary. So then I think I make probably what is a mistake. The player that I end up getting rid of through full transfer is Gardner Smith, and the full transfer is 150k, and his salary is only 25k. So I basically get 150k and 25k off my salary. It's not great. I probably should have just left him alone because he was cheap. But that takes me to 3.4 million from a transfer perspective and 137,000 from a salary perspective. And now this allows me to go and get a couple players to finish off my squad here. So first thing I'm going to do is make a selection. Now you can see on my list I have a bunch of players that I was looking at. I end up going for Vera here. My choice was really Konovalov or Vera with the two players I was looking at. I ended up going with Vera because I felt like he was just a little better from a utility perspective. So he cost me 1.4, essentially brings my transfer budget down to 2 million. And then at this point I only have an hour left, so I can't actually go and sign anyone else. So what I do is I use my last hour to sign a backup goalkeeper. So I pick Post out, and the reason here is at this point, if my goalkeeper goes down or he's got really bad form, I got nobody to replace him. So I end up sending Post for 25k salary. He's a youth player, so he doesn't cost me anything transfer. His market value is not very high. I hope to never play him because he's 58 rated, but I needed that backup and I only had an hour left. So that is the summary of my transfer window. From there, I go and make a couple changes to my team. So really what I'm going to do is set my format. I'm going to leave the same formation here. So I'm going to play the two wingers, the center forward, the attacking midfielder, two defensive midfielders, and then two fullbacks and two center backs. So again, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this formation, but I think with the players I have, I'm going to stick with it right now and basically just see what happens. What I am going to do is just make sure my subs are set up. I'm not going to start Vera. I'm going to leave him on the bench because I feel like he's going to be a really good utility player coming on from the bench. And he's also got the super sub trait, so I'm going to leave him. So my starting team is actually going to be Sulemana at left wing, Dalmau at center forward, McCleary at right forward, and G attacking midfielder. And then what I'll actually do is instead of playing two defensive midfielders, I will play Kayembe and Ariel as center midfielders. And then TXR at left back, Thorsby at right back, and then Sobiek and Strudrick as my two starting center backs, and Alsop as my goalkeeper. Now, with that being said, I now only have two players from the original team. McCleary and Alsop are the only two starters from the original team, and everyone else is on the bench. I'm also going to change my advanced instructions a little. What I'm going to do is make sure that my left back and my right back are set to defensive, and then from a counter perspective, I am going to make sure that firstly NG is set to a counter and that Sulemana is set to a counter. And that is what I'm going to currently go in with. So we'll see what happens here. I might make some changes before the next game, but as far as my negotiation period, the window is now closed. I can't bring any more players. Who I have on my team is what I'm going to have to play with for half of the season until the window opens the 1st of January. And hopefully we won't need to bring in any more players, but we'll see. All right, so I'll get the other next episode out soon, which will show the next game, which I believe is against Norwich, and we'll take it from there. See you soon, guys.
Hey guys, I'm new to YouTube, so if you like the content, please give me a like. If you like the topics, please subscribe, and always leave a comment if you can. Thanks, guys.